I used to work in a team. I'm guessing you guys have worked with the Alexa, the Amazon Echo Alexa.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my favorite. That's my favorite Internet of Thing.
No, I absolutely love it. But where I work, we were given an Alexa when it first came out to play with, and I was working with software engineers and coders, and really really smart guys, and their task basically was to essentially break apart the foundations of the product deep down into the code and try and enhance the quality of the conversation between Alexa and the consumer. And I remember thinking at the time how much they'd have to I wonder how much they'd have to tweak the sort of the algorithms or whatever it is to make the product feel as human as possible. And I know Alexa have been doing super sort of well over the last few years, but when do you think it'll be that this form of artificial intelligence becomes sort of like fully embedded within everyday life? I mean, it seems to be kind of there at the minute, but it's not fully there. Like, if you sort of take the property market, for example, when do you think it might be when property developers actually start installing Alexas like behind walls in the kitchen? Do you think we'll get to a stage where that's just the norm?
So what I would tell you is we're there.
Oh,
The
wow,
future
okay.
is here. It's just unevenly distributed right now.
Okay.
Okay. And so I think we talk to so many different, a big part of the IoT of this is being able to embed those things where you want them. It doesn't matter what thing that is. Obviously we make remarkable things that have it embedded, but we have made her embeddable in any IoT device if you so want. And one of the things that I love so much about our ecosystem of skills is that it's an open ecosystem that any brand can come in and create an intelligent skill. And so what I would tell you is that I don't think that there's necessarily going to be necessarily just maybe one voice behind it, but you're certainly starting to see that voice embedded in places that you didn't know it was. One of my favorite things to do actually is going to Amazon.com and clicking on both the skills, but also all the connected devices from third-party manufacturers, right, who are embedding her directly into that. And the only reason I'm not saying her name right now is because I'm worried she's going to trigger a conversation.
I was
In
going
our
to say,
house, we call her we call her the glorious Miss A.
yeah, smart move. Smart move. I can imagine that would get quite frustrating. Do you think you'll get to the point where you'll be able to change or you might be able to do so already, change the, so rather than saying Alexa, do you think you might be able to tweak the name of it?
You can do it today.
Oh, you can? Okay.
Yes, you can do it today.
Wow.
It is if you go into your Divine Miss A app and you look there, you can actually it is what is the trigger word, right?
Okay.
So you can, in that core feature, you can do that today. So you can customize it, and we're really trying to put so much of the power of this intelligence into the hands of our users. Because here's what I know for sure: customers are way smarter than we are. We try to do these and innovate in such inclusive ways that I want the customers to feel like they have a say in how we design these things, because the reality is that we don't have all the answers, but if we listen to our customers really carefully, they're going to give us answers that inspire yet new innovations.
Yeah, absolutely. That's totally true. It just made me think then when you were talking, there's been times within technology where sometimes things haven't sort of progressed or become as popular or as mainstream as you'd think. 3D TVs spring to mind as soon as I say that. Obviously, I might be wrong, but I think there was kind of like a supply and demand issue where they were making all these 3D TVs, but they didn't really have the content to show on it. And with VR too, VR has been around for 20 plus years. I remember this old Nintendo headset which used air quotes, VR, and everything pointed in the direction of artificial intelligence. But do you think there will be a similar issue with sort of virtual assistants where people sort of nibble at the idea but don't fully bite? Or do you think it'll take a long time for, or it might take a long time for people to fully adjust to? Because I probably give it around about 5 years before people start to become fully all right with the idea of being around all this technology and being okay with how intrusive they once thought it felt. Do you know what I mean?
I do. And it's here's one thing I never do is predict the predict the future. Uh,
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I can only share with you what I know for sure, right? What's true now. Although I will tell you that we do live here at Amazon, we do live a good 2 to 5 years in the future. And that is our
Hmm.
purpose. But here's what I will say, we know for sure, right? We have more than 100 million devices in the marketplace that have the Divine Missé pre-installed. And we're only seeing that grow.
Hmm.
And that to me is super exciting because the more accessible, again, when you get to play the role of designing the tools that make those technologies more accessible for people to embed into their inventions,
Hmm.
right? That we continue to expand the ecosystem, I think that we will see that is a force multiplier. So what's interesting, I don't think that we're going to see just one, kind of device. We're going to see many, and you're going to see them in different ways. Just as you gave the in the wall example,
Hmm.
we're seeing them in the kitchen. I'm seeing it in the bathroom. I'm seeing it in my closet. I'm seeing it in all these different places, and yet. I think we are now having a conversation about, where are they best adopted, right?
Hmm.
Where are the best use cases? And the reality is, we're learning that every day, and our customers tell us what they are,
Yeah.
right? Our customers, by just utilizing it. I love, you know, the best part of being a designer is knowing that you have the humble empathy to observe what customers are doing with it. And one of my favorite use cases behind Echo is a very inclusive design tenant. It helps folks who are hard of seeing,
Hmm.
um, and aging parents whose dexterity through arthritis may be really tough on a phone, but voice is still there and still open. And that to me, to see the usages, everyday usages of being able to control their world in a way that makes the world more accessible to them is not just heartwarming, but it drives you to continue to do more of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when it tugs at the heartstrings like that, and you see what sort of how it really is having an effect on people, not just for leisure, but for just for everyday usage and stuff like that. I spoke to someone from Uber last week who was telling me about what they're sort of looking into in the future of sort of technology. And surprisingly, they're not focusing on driverless cars. However, they are looking at flying cars,
Yeah.
which I was just gobsmacked by when they mentioned that. And they're
Hey, and
calling it,
if you think about it, it was General Motors at the World's Fair, right, in the 50s, who promised us jetpacks. I want my jetpack. Like, I'm there already. Like, why do I need to drive on a